What's happening, my friends? It is a
Hey,
Thursday night, 8:30
how you doing?
Eastern time. What's going on,
Ah,
Bill? All right, so Bill will be co-hosting with me tonight. Um, this will be your first co-host with me. You've been a guest of mine twice now.
yeah,
We're gonna go into what you have, but tonight you and I have an interesting show. So everyone, welcome to
yes.
BB3 TV. We have our friend Kelly on tonight. So Kelly has an interesting background here. Haunted caregiver, as she likes to put it. So, Bill, as I would tell Tom or any other, there's John up in here. What's going on? He is a BB3 host as well. Monday nights, 9 o'clock. All right, without further ado, Bill, here we go.
All right.
Hi.
Kelly,
Hey,
how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Welcome to BB3 TV. We are here.
Hi.
All right. So you are a haunted caregiver for items.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah,
So what
I
got
don't like the word collector because I don't know. I just feel like when you're dealing with like an energy or like somebody attached to something, to use the word collector, it's like, can you imagine like if you died and then somebody was like, yeah, I'm a collector, and like your energy heard them like, wow, they're collecting something that I'm attached to, like that's just a little weird. So I don't like the word collector because I'm more of a caregiver. Like I take care of the items. I don't like, it's not like I go out of my way to like collect every haunted piece that I find. It has to be specific ones that I feel like called to.
It's
yeah,
interesting too.
it's a little more than just collecting.
Yeah.
It's anybody could collect. I think it's more of you're taking care of them in a way. I like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Tom Springer is another host coming up. I believe his show is Monday night starting up. So as we go into it, welcome aboard, everyone. So what got you into this? Where was the start of Kelly?
So I guess the start was like 4 or 5 years ago. I completely skeptic, did not believe in paranormal at all. I never even really like was interested in like the TV shows or anything like that. Like it didn't phase me. And I went to a shop which is in New Hope, Pennsylvania called the Creeper Gallery, which if you haven't been there, that's definitely like a place to stop into. Like if you like oddities and like all of that. The owner, she is absolutely one of my closest friends now. But I kept going in there because she had a little tiny case and it just had a couple items that she said was haunted. So I kept going in there and there was this one item that I kept looking at. I kept going over to the case and I was like, there's something about it. And every Sunday she would notice that I was in there, like looking at this item. And finally she looks at me and she goes, do you just want to see it? And I was like, oh, yeah, like if you want to take it out, like, can I see it? So she takes it out and it was this little shoe, like a little Victorian shoe. And as soon as I held it, I literally heard a child laugh. And it
Wow.
freaked me out. And I was like, all right, I'll take it home. Took it home. I was still kind of like, maybe it was like a kid outside. Like, I don't know. I think it was about like 4 or 5 hours I had this shoe in my house. And I saw, it's almost like if you're looking out of a car window, like motion blur.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
saw that and it looked like a little kid skipping. And after that, I was like, wow, So I started to kind of get into it and like believe a little bit more. I think after that, I didn't take anything home for like a couple months. And then I started to go back into the shop. I became friends with the owner. I started to feel drawn to some of the pieces that she had. So I would end up taking them home and then I would work with them. And I think that that's important for anybody that does what I do, is working with the items. Just throwing them into your house and being like, yeah, do something. Like that's not, you need to create an environment where they feel like they're safe.
Right.
And I started taking more and more home, and just I guess over the years, I became friends with her. She sends me pictures of things. I noticed that I get this feeling of almost knowing who was attached to it. Like it's almost like a feeling like I want to help them, even with negative items, which is I still don't fully understand it. Like I have like a couple of really negative things that I felt drawn to, and I've ended up taking them home. and I've had some crazy experiences with them, and I worked with them, and now it's, we kind of coexist. But, if you would have asked me like 4 or 5 years ago, like if I would have ever had a haunted item in my house, I would have told you absolutely not. I don't believe in that.
Wow.
So
Now you kind of got a museum.
yeah, I mean, yeah, a little bit of a museum, and it also changed my view on like death. I truly believe that when you die, like that's not the end anymore. And before it was just like I used to think like, oh, you die and like that's it, nothing
Right.
happens, that's it. And now I truly believe that something is out there and we don't know like about it completely yet, but there is something out there, and that's just based off of the experiences that I've had. And just going forward, I mean, I learn more and more things, I experience more and more things pretty much every day. So
I got a question.
Go ahead, Bill.
As an investigator, you've if you didn't believe back then, you've never done any kind of like investigations or anything like that, or anything.
I allowed so no, I had never done any investigations. And even when I would get the items, I still really didn't do any investigations. It was more, I have this item, I'm gonna take care of it. And that's why I call myself a caretaker. Most of my items actually have children attached.
Wow.
I, never really did like the whole investigation thing. I didn't have any equipment, never really got into that. I did have a paranormal group come in and investigate a year and a half ago, did a full blown investigation in my house. And I learned a lot. They picked up a lot. It changed how I viewed things. It was almost reassuring because there were some things that they picked up that really showed that the items that I do have here know who I am and they feel safe with me. So that was like reassuring, because then it's like, okay, that's kind of validation that I do feel this way for a reason when I see these items and
Right.
I can feel the energy. So yeah, I mean, prior to that, no, never did any investigations, nothing.
Wow. What was your very first piece that you
I
owned?
can show it to you.
Sure.
It's right here. It's this little shoe.
What's the
Literally
story
just,
behind that one?
just a little shoe. It has a hole from where the toe of the kid wore through. So this shoe, the person who owned it prior, she said that she would see shadow figures on her wall. And she got scared when she saw it was almost like a soot handprint on the wall, and it scared her. So she ended up giving it to the owner of the Creeper Gallery, and she did a full-blown investigation on it. And so this was my very first object, and this was the one where I saw like the motion blur of like a child skipping. And from what I know about the child that is attached to this, she died in a fire, and her shoe was pretty much the only thing that survived said fire. And she wore these shoes, obviously, to the point where the toe is worn in.
Right.
Like I said, this was like my first object. When they did the investigation in my house, they picked up on their SLS camera a stick figure hiding behind me. And they had assumed, because they were trying to communicate with her, that it was her hiding behind me, because I do believe truly that she is a shy, like, little girl that's attached to this shoe. And yeah, I mean, that was my first object, going on 5 years together. So, I mean, we're bonded.
I want to give a couple shout outs in here. We got Bob Burnell. How you doing, my friend? Good seeing you. Dennis V and Craig Knapp. He is actually the other half of the Grave Guys, which we're going to talk about here a little bit, because Craig, oddly enough, she cleans graves just like us.
Yes, they do.
We'll get into that a little bit later. But all right. So what's the most extravagant item that you have in the house?
The most extravagant? What do you mean by extravagant?
The one that just stands out the most.
The one that stands out the most,
John.
probably, I have a torso of a little boy, his bones. So when people see that one, they're like, "Oh my gosh, like why? How do you have that?" And from what I believe in, I took that one to a medium. It's not negative at all, but obviously you see bones and it's scary. I took it to a medium, and I believe what had happened was he was murdered. Um, his bones, obviously, they were found in like a swampy area. I know his skull was never recovered. It's a pretty old murder that occurred. I believe somebody took his bones and started selling them as like oddities, and they ended up, with this woman. I ended up taking them after, oddly enough, a paranormal investigator felt connected to them, didn't want to take him home because it was bones, and he was like, I'm not displaying bones in my house, like that's weird. I took him home. Every time I speak of this paranormal investigator, I have little cat balls next to his thing. He is one of the friendliest, most active spirits that I have in my house. He lights up the cat balls. He likes lights. He plays with music boxes, all of that. Because I actually have a little music box, a motion sensor music box that I got just for him. And that's probably one of the most shocking objects when people come to my house. They're like, that's bones in a box. Like, that's a little weird. So that's probably one of them. I guess the other one is just I have a cape that has blood on it, which is kind of shocking. When people see it, they're like, that's kind of morbid. But other than that, it's pretty much, you would look at them and you'd think that they were just antique items.
Right.
Even garbage to some people, I guess. I don't know.
And apparently all these items do come up with a verified story.
Yeah. So we do full ancestry and history research on every single thing, because most of them come from, either estate sales or, family members that they've been passed down through, generations. So when we get the items, I do ancestry research on them. I find out who it belonged to, how the person died. I find, did they have children? Were they married? Where did they like move to? How long did they live in that place? Where's their grave? Things like that. I completely do full research on it. And then obviously when they're investigated, before I take them home, the investigators don't see that research, but that's kind of a way for me to like sit there and verify, like, okay, if they're picking that up, then that verifies what I have here on the ancestry. So there is something there.
Right.
Do you have you ever had an issue with any of the items, like something you didn't know if you were going to be able to handle in the house?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. So actually, I'll show her before I start talking about her. That is my haunted cape in that case right there. That item is one of the negative ones that I ended up feeling attached to. So she came from an estate in Virginia, and the cape is a mourning cape and has a pallbearer's ribbon on it. And the woman attached to it, her name's Victoria. She murdered both of her children. She poisoned them. And she literally believes that she's like her own entity. And that was my biggest issue when I got her. I think it was like a week or two after I had her in the house. I had an incident in the middle of the night where I felt like I couldn't breathe. My whole arm went numb. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I actually thought I had to go to the hospital, walk downstairs, sat on the couch for a little bit, and I was okay. And it stopped. And the next day I had an appointment to take her to a medium that I had found. Completely did that. That's another thing with like mediums. I was so skeptical even after doing this with mediums that I would go to the lengths of like making sure that they didn't have my name, my phone number. I would do everything like online with a fake email. Like there was no way for them to like track me down, and they never knew that I was bringing them something. Right. So I had made an appointment with a medium. I took her there because I wanted to know, exactly what I was dealing with. Because I had an incidents where I had like during that week where I had seen her, I would hear high heels on the floor, like in the middle of the night, like loud clicking high heels. So I took her to the medium, and he starts giving me this reading, and he used the word, he described her as being demonic, like that there was something not right with her. She poisoned her kids because she was jealous of the attention that the husband was giving her two children. She had this thing where she needed like all the attention. It had to be on her at all times. Murdered her kids. So towards the end of the reading, he brings up, he goes, did you have an incident last night where you felt like you couldn't breathe? And there was absolutely no way that he could have known that. I was like, yeah, I did. He told me that that was her choking me.
Wow.
And after that, I was a little freaked out. I was like, maybe I can't handle, this specific object. I'm being like physically, harmed now. So I ended up having more incidents with her. I actually saw like a full body. That was one of the only full body apparitions that I've ever seen was her in my room. And I was like, all right, something's got to stop because she cannot be in my room. Like I do, like that was my safe spot for a long time, was like no haunted items in my bedroom. Like I don't want them upstairs in the room, especially like I'm being choked. Like this is too much. Eventually I worked with her enough to where I think we have an understanding. She hasn't harmed me since then. She's harmed other people that have come into my house though. So when people come into my house, I have to give them a full disclosure to ignore the cape. Anybody who says one single thing to her when they're walking into my house, if they poke fun at her, if they call her like a bitch, anything like that, she will go after them. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Like my poor fiance walks in here. He knew about the cape. He called her a bitch. Next thing you know, he's got scratch marks down his neck. He's freaking out, and I'm like, yeah, like you shouldn't have done that. Like I told you, don't do that. Like stop messing with her. But yeah, she's something else. And then I had a Ouija board that actually came from Salem. It's pretty old. Now, I don't believe in Ouija boards. I don't think that they hold any power, but I do believe that somebody can get attached to one. And the woman that is attached to that one is also really difficult. I figured out what her issue was. It took me like 2 weeks before I was like, all right, let's try this. She doesn't like her board being on the ground. So I had to hang the board up on the wall. And anytime she was ever on the ground, no lie, it was like full blown like poltergeist activity. And for a while there, I thought I was going to have to like get rid of it or give it to somebody who knew what they were doing, because I just couldn't get control of her at all. She didn't want to, like, I would sit there and I would try to talk to her, and it made it worse. And then I realized she doesn't like her board being on the ground. Put the board up. She doesn't do that anymore.
Now, that cape, I wanted to talk about that cape. Was that the one that you had on display at the
Yes.
at Woodbridge? Yeah.
Yes.
So actually, Anthony in there right now. He's a BB3 member as well. He was actually with me that day. It was Kenny and I, Kenny Biddle and myself walked through first, and then Anthony, if you remember, she was the one with all the haunted items. When we walked down the hallway of the high school, she had that entire room, and I said I was going to interview her for sure because of the whole display she had. Matter of fact, I had told everybody that day that of everybody that was there except Kenny Biddle, throw that in there, you had my favorite part of the entire day. Like it made my day.
Thank you.
You can actually feel the energy in there. And then like I told you earlier, there was a certain smell in the room too. Like there was this old, like, I don't know. I can't describe it. They would just have to go to one of your events or one of your, any kind of convention that you're at and actually experience it for themselves. So you had a point, my friend.
Thank you.
See, I'd be worried about that cape, because if she has a jealousy problem, you're bringing in all these items. That one would make me concerned.
Yeah, I mean, so initially she was like, I'm gonna say like the 6th or 7th item I ever took home, and that was the first negative item that I really took home. So my thing was, when I started taking home like things that had children attached, I started to get nervous because I was like, I don't want her like anywhere near like children's spirits and stuff like that. But like I said, I truly believe that when you work with energies and you let them know that it's a safe space and they can like be and not be disturbed, I think that that's like a way to kind of coexist and almost help them not be. I mean, that doesn't change the fact that she's obviously was a terrible person in life. Obviously, she killed her kids. You're not a good person, but you can make it so that the energy doesn't carry forth into what she's doing now. Like she doesn't have to be so angry and so negative and just attack people and choke people and stuff like that. Especially I'm giving her, her own space. She's not going to be bothered, unless somebody comes in the house, obviously, and calls her a bitch. But, then that's totally justified. I told you not to do it. She's going to attack you. That's on you,
How often do teams try to get in touch with you to investigate your house?
Not often.
Really?
I've like I said, I've only had one paranormal investigation done here. I believe at Para-Unity, I had one group ask me if they could come investigate. They never reached out. I know I wanted to get a medium in here. The medium that I prefer to use said that it's too overwhelming in my home. The amount of energy and people that are in my home is too overwhelming. We tried it once and he literally was like physically ill from it. So we haven't been able to do that. He said that he would try again. So we'll see. But I've literally only had one paranormal investigation. It was like 5 hours they were in here. And it was like constant 5 hours of just like equipment going off, really clear EVPs. Actually, they picked up an EVP off the Cape saying that she poisoned. She confirmed, yes, I poisoned my children.
Well, when I visit Jersey for the next Gettysburg Bash, I want to investigate your house if we have time. But we have a question for Bob Burnell here. Kelly, are you concerned about housing more than one item together? I would fear together they would either attract something darker or create something new.
So no, I'm not concerned about housing more than one item together. As far as creating something darker, like I said, I think it's all about working with the energies. I mean, I have, the cape that's negative. I have a candlestick that was used in a murder that still has blood on it that the murderer is attached to, and he's like a total creep right next to the cape. And I haven't had any crazy things happen. Like I said, I work with them. Every time I bring an item home, I let them know, like, hey, this is a safe space. You can be here, but do not, attack anybody in the household that lives here. Please be respectful. I'm here to care for you, not harm you. And it seems to work pretty much almost always. I mean, every once in a while, I'll have an item that's like a little bit tougher to kind of get under control.
Right.
But no, I'm never really worried about something darker. And that's another thing that I think is a little bit different about me. I don't believe in demons at all. I don't believe in demons, and I don't believe that something can be cursed by like. Now, when I say cursed, when I think of a cursed object, I think that something can be possessed or cursed by an event that took place, not by like an actual like entity. I don't believe, like I said, I really just don't believe in demons. I haven't had an experience. I've been around cursed objects, and like I said, I truly believe that when an object is cursed, instead of an energy of a person, it's the energy of an event that's attached, which creates a negative energy, and that negative energy can, affect you. And I mean, for example, I was around this, it was a cursed skull. It was actually a murder victim's skull, and they said that it was cursed. And I believe that it's cursed because it's the skull of somebody that was murdered. I think the energy of the murder stayed attached to the skull, and that's what makes it cursed. I think that rubs off on people when they handle the skull, when they're near the skull. Possessed items, I guess, maybe possessed also by the energy of an event that occurred, maybe the energy of multiple events that occurred. But I don't believe that anything's too dark to handle at all.
Well, I'd like to throw something in on that. No, I agree with a lot of what you're saying.
Yeah.
But also in my education in demonology and doing over 500 cases, it's very rare, but I have seen it. And the difference.
Well, I'm looking forward to that day where I can see it. Seeing is believing.
Well, you know what the difference is? Like you can have spirits in there that can be a little, bitchy or a problem. But with a demon, they're not gonna stop. They're not gonna listen to you. They're not gonna. It's a very rare thing. It honestly, it's not like what the TV show you. It is very rare, but it's a completely different thing than a problem spirit. I know you want to see it, but trust me, you don't want to see it.
I mean, I would love to see it. That way I could like open my mind and start to believe in it. I think that everybody needs like that one experience and like even like anything paranormal to kind of like really get kickstarted on like believing in that.
Yeah.
Like that's just one of those things. Like I want to see it from like a distance though, like not like in it,
Well, that's what when I do the conventions and stuff, a lot of people ask and I say, I could tell you a million stories, but you can't fully understand or believe it unless you witnessed it.
Yeah.
It's a completely different thing than me telling the story and you being there to see it.
I mean, I had this crazy, so I don't get all of my stuff from like one place. Like I've purchased a couple things from like another, person who curates objects. She reached out to me the one day and she was like, I have this German Bible. It's demon possessed. And I was like, man, like I don't know about that. And she starts telling me that everybody that's owned this Bible has died. And I'm like, yeah, like I was like, I don't feel anything, nor do I want to take an item that, like, if people are dying from it, like that's something that you probably should not be like, here, do you want this?
You don't want to test it.
She ended up selling it, and the person who bought it died.
Yeah,
Like a week later, and she stopped selling like anything that had like any kind of attachments to it. And I think that people need to like be so careful, like if they want to get into this, like know what you're taking home before you take it home, because you could be taking home a Bible that's like said to kill you, and next thing you know you're dying from it. Like that's, but that, I think that was like the closest thing to like, oh, maybe demons do exist. I mean, this Bible's like killing people. That's a little weird, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I got to see it to believe it.
Damn it, my curiosity would have killed me too. I would have bought the Bible. I would have.
And I would have been talking about you dying right now.
It's like when I was telling you about, there's some things I don't know if you really want to test. It's kind of like I go back to Robert the Doll. I'm good friends with David Sloan, who does he wrote the book on him, and he does the tour with him and everything. And, they always talk about the whole myth about, you have to ask him permission to take his picture. And if not, things happen to you. Well, when I did MegaCon and we were talking about this, a guy stood up and he said, hey, we were there not too long ago, him and his friend, and he believed, and he kept asking. His friend wouldn't ask. He said, this is dumb. He took pictures and they went out. That's the one I think I was telling you. They went out and the car wouldn't start. So they had to leave the car there. The next day they come back and they said they had somebody there that said the starter's dead. So while they were waiting for somebody to come and repair it, they went back into the museum, and the kid said, you know what, I'm going to go say something. And he apologized. They came out, and before the guy got there, the car started. And they had already told him the starter was dead. So it's like those things is, what is it? But do you really want to test it? If somebody says they're going to die if you have this Bible.
Well, I met Robert the Doll in person, and I didn't ask permission to take his picture. But this is a good point that my friend is making right now. It's kind of odd. He goes, I guess it's killing everyone other than the woman who was selling it.
She said she never actually physically handled the Bible, though. When she received it, it was in a like almost like one of those antique. I don't know if you've ever seen like the antique Victorian jewelry boxes. They're made out of glass and they have like a casket bottom. She said that it was in that, wrapped in cloth. She never actually opened or like physically touched the Bible. So when she's telling me about it, and she's like, yeah, anybody who's like physically like handled the Bible like has died. And I was like, yeah, like I'm not interested in taking that one.
Sure.
I got one of my items from her, and it's the bloody cape that I have, where a little boy, his name was Adam, he died in a horseback riding accident. He was trampled by a horse. I had that one at Unity. It was on one of the mannequins.
Yeah.
My poor mother, when I got that delivered, she opened the box thinking she was helping me out, picks this thing up, and now I had fully known what happened to her own mother when she handled the cape. Her personality changed. And I don't think that that's possession. I think that's something inflicting its emotions upon you to kind of help you understand what they're feeling. My mom handled this cape, and she was a different person for a week. Like that was not, I've never seen her act like that. That was not my mother. And ever since then, she's like terrified of touching anything that I own, including that cape. Like, so, I mean, when she talks to me about this Bible and how you touch it and die, and I'm like, nah, like I'm good on that one. And then she stopped selling haunted stuff because she sold it to somebody wanted to test it, and they ended up getting hurt because of it.
They died,
supposedly. So
Tom Springer's got a question here. Have there been any items you purchased and decided to sell removed from your home due to feeling you received from it after getting it in your home?
So I've returned one item. It was a voodoo doll. It was given to me for $25, never told anything was attached to it. I took this thing home, and I've never had an experience where I held something and I felt like my energy was drained out of my body to the point where I could pass out. That went on. I tried to work with it for like, I think it was like 2 weeks. And finally I said, I can't work with this one. I have to, give it back. gave it back. And it's funny because I actually ran into the lady who ended up taking it from me. She said that she had so many weird things happen to her, and then the doll just disappeared. She has no idea what happened to it, where it went. She had things like her leg being yanked in the middle of the night. She would hear bells ringing, which is definitely a weird thing to experience. I have another object that's actually, I still have it boxed up. I haven't done anything with it. I boxed it up, haven't touched it. So it was this little memento box, and it had a picture of a mother and baby in a casket, hair, and there was something else in the box. I took that item home. I touched it. I had the worst luck I've ever had in my life that entire week. Didn't think anything of it. I touched the box again. Same thing happened, except it was like 20 to 30 times worse. I boxed that item up. I think it was after my week of hell had ended. I boxed the thing up and put it away. And I was like, I'm not going to touch it anymore. I'm not going to keep it out. I've had items in my household that I have held for other people. And it's weird because I can feel when they don't belong here. I literally get like this horrible feeling where I feel like anxious and on edge. And I know when it doesn't belong in my house. There's been times where I've had to put them in the garage to get rid of that feeling, which is crazy. But I mean, other than that, I've only had to give one item back, and I have one boxed up that I'm just kind of letting sit there until I could figure out how to work with it, or if I'm even able to work with it, or if it even belongs here. After taking it home, I kind of got that feeling like maybe I'm not the person it's supposed to be with. So that's another one.
There you go there. Bill, got anything to add there?
Yeah, I was going to say, I just think that's the way to do it if you're going to work with things like this. Not just go to the store, pick something up. Oh, this looks cool. Throw it on the wall.
So many people do that, and it's, that's why I don't like the word collector. Collector, you just go and you buy whatever haunted item you see, and that's it. You don't know,
Right.
What you're doing, and that could literally end poorly for you. So that's why I don't like the word collector. I like caretaker, because if it belongs with you, it'll call to you and you'll end up with it.
Right.
Like, I have my violin it's a little boy's violin. That item sold to somebody else, and I remember being devastated because I could feel that he belonged with me. 3 years later, she returned the violin to the shop where she got it, and I was able to take it home.
Wow.
But she returned it because she said that nothing happened. She didn't feel anything from it. She didn't get anything off of it. I had it in my house. I think it was like maybe a month into having him here, I heard a violin play in the middle of the night. So, I mean, little things like that, you could have an item and it could not do something for you, but somebody else takes it, and next thing you know, it's acting up.
Right.
So I think really it depends on the person that's taking the item and if it's going to do anything for that person. So
I hear you on that one. All right, so family and friends that walk in your house.
yes.
What's their reactions?
I mean, it's mixed reactions. Sometimes people don't want to come in my house. I've had people who will come up to the top of the stairs and that's it. I know one of the maintenance men doesn't come in my house anymore. I think so. My entire bedroom, like 2 walls are covered. I like to test things, so I put upside down crosses covered 2 of my walls with upside down crosses. They don't like to go in my bedroom. As soon as they see haunted listed on anything, they're like, I get a lot of different reactions. People think it's cool. They want to like mess around, like, let's go buy ghost hunting equipment. Let's see what we can get. And I usually stop people from actually doing any of that. And I guess my reasoning behind it is, imagine being a spirit and being asked the same question like 50 times.
Yeah.
Who are you? Why are you here? How did you die? Can you imagine how annoying that must get? So I treat my objects like they're normal people. I have conversations with them, just ask them how they're doing, like little things like that. I treat them like they're like physically here still. And I've noticed that works a lot better for getting any kind of response off of them than going in there with like all like these crazy flashing gadgets and like, touch this, it sounds like music. And it's just like, how many times they've heard that? Like, they don't want to hear it anymore. So I try to stop people. I mean, I know people are going to do with like I've had people like come over here and take like flash photography to see if they could catch like anything on like flash, things like that. Other people get scared, don't want to come in my house. So it's really 50-50 with it.
There, you know, it's like even as an investigator, we teach people you got to be respectful. I mean, if you are going to go in there, even though we are asking questions and stuff, you got to be respectful of the people. Like I do a lot of residential, so we got to be respectful of the people and respectful of what's in their house.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I mean, you could piss off both.
Yeah, like you don't want to go in there and provoke and make things worse.
Yeah, no, never provoke. We never
absolutely.
Provoke. Yeah, for sure.
I completely agree with that.
All right, so the next items that you have coming up, we were talking about this chest and stuff. What's your new items?
So the chest that I have on hold is a Hungarian chest that was made by this man. He's attached to it. You can hear knocking coming from out of the chest. I mean, the thing's big enough to put a TV on. That I have to figure out how to get from Pennsylvania to here. So we're still figuring that out. I have an old piece of stained glass from the 1800s that has a priest attached to it. I also have this Latin book that's pretty crazy that has a bunch of people attached to it. Trying to think what else. I mean, I have a lot of items on hold that I'm waiting to take home, waiting for the investigations to be done. I just got, and I'm going to show it. Mm-hmm. So I had a woman reach out to me and she told me she had this haunted lamp and this haunted doll and that she couldn't handle the energy. She was moving and wanted to get rid of them. I was like, all right. I asked her, send me pictures. She sent me pictures. I felt something towards both of the items. I asked her, you know, do you want me to pay for shipping? Will you ship them to me? She said, yeah, I paid her for shipping. I thought she ripped me off. I didn't hear anything from her. She like didn't message me about shipping them. I paid her for the shipping, never heard from her. So I just got this item like 3 days ago. I took a nap. I woke up and I smelled burning electric. And I thought that that was weird because I've never smelled that before. Started looking at all the plugs in my room. I was like, something's definitely burning in here.
Right.
Couldn't find anything. I go outside. I think I was going to check the mailbox, or I think I had gotten a delivery notification for Amazon. I go out there and there's this massive box out there. And I was like, I definitely didn't order anything this large. Like, what is this? So I look at the name on the box and it's her name. And I was like, this is the lamp. So this is the lamp. This is her. Absolutely horrifying, first of all. This lamp, she said she had the same experience because I messaged her and I said, it's so weird. I didn't know that you shipped this. I thanked her for shipping it. And I told her it was so weird because I took a nap and I got the smell of burning electric and I had no idea the lamp was out there. She told me that she had the same experience, but it progressively got worse to the point where she was getting headaches and felt ill from it, which is why she didn't want the lamp anymore. So since I've had this in my house, things with electronics have been going crazy. I mean, my poor mother, I swear one day I'm going to give her like a heart attack or something. Like I feel so bad sometimes. She's sitting on the couch and we have my work computer's in like the living room. She's sitting on the couch and the work computer just starts doing things by itself. And now this lamp was over there and she said, yeah, it went on a picture of your friend's dead mother. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, it was on Megan's mother. I have a picture of my friend and her dead mother on my computer. I used it I think it was like 3 years ago. I took a picture of, that, cut it out and put it in a locket for her. I haven't touched that picture since. That picture was up on the screen. My mom said that it was flashing. And then all of a sudden the computer just shut down, turned back on, and it completely stopped. And my mom was freaking out. She's like, I don't like that lamp. You need to move that lamp. So I've been moving it in like different places to see if I can get it to do anything else. I've had weird things happen with phones since I've had it in the house. So this is definitely one that I definitely need to do like a little bit of research. I don't know anything about it. This is one of those items that kind of it's given to me. I don't know where it came from, where she got it. She knows who it belonged to or anything. This is one that I would like take to a medium and see what they get off of it. But I definitely get like a weird energy off of her. I know I'm not supposed to plug her in because it is an old lamp and I'm pretty sure the wiring in it's kind of messed up. But that is probably one of my new favorites because that's like the quickest weirdest reaction I've had to like seeing an item, or like not even seeing it, just knowing like it's in the general area, like even in a box, it could affect me like that. So that's just something, you know, a little bit interesting.
There's another question here from Bob. He said, do you use salt or crystals to protect your home or safeguard the items in your house?
So I am a pagan. So I have 2 protection altars in my home. One is it used to be in my bedroom. I took it out of the bedroom after I started moving haunted items in there. Now it's in the hallway. And then I have another protection altar downstairs. And we put bells on doors, which is supposed to block negative energy. So I had an incident with one of my objects, this mirror that I took home. I had the mirror at Para Unity. Everybody that looked into it said they felt ill. This mirror just, I've never experienced anything like it. I was scared a little bit of it, but I was like willing to like, all right, like you're not going to scare me. Like we're going to do this. But since that night, I started putting bells on the doors, which keeps negative energy from entering into your space. Wherever the bells are, you shut the door. There's bells on the door. It's going to keep them out. So I do protection things. I try my absolute hardest to make sure that any protection that I use is not going to harm them or limit them in being able to wander around the house, except the bedrooms, because nobody wants to like wake up and have like, you know, an apparition staring over you or something like that. Nobody wants that. So I tried not to limit them. I don't do anything, like I said, to harm them. No intention of like moving them on or anything. If they want to go, they can, and that's fine. But if they want to stay here and be with their object, that's perfectly fine too. But yeah, no, like I said, the protection altars, the bells, things like that. Yeah, I do that. I think that's important when you take home anything that has an energy attached to it, especially if you know. I mean, the way I believe that these work, I believe that they take a piece of your energy. Some objects can take your energy to manifest different things or manifest their emotions onto you. And that's why protection is important, because you need to protect your own energy from them. So I mean, that's a big thing, and that's the biggest thing I tell anybody who's like, oh, I want to take home an haunted object. Well, you better learn how to protect yourself, because if something goes wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, these ones that I got back here, a lot of them were wrapped in protection. They still got sage bags on them and everything, prayers.
Yeah.
It's kind of, yeah, I get what
Yeah.
you're saying for sure.
Yep.
All right, so Bill, you got anything to add to this? We are almost coming to the end of the show, because we're going to go into what you have to say. But anything to add to Kelly?
No, I mean, I was just, I want to, same thing as Dom. When I come up to New Jersey, I haven't visited in a while. I want to come up maybe next year or something. I would definitely like to see this.
Yeah, work on this together.
Yeah, I would absolutely let you, put equipment out, see what you get. Like I said, I have a lot here. It can be overwhelming. I mean, there's all different types of things. I have children, priests, negative, positive, all different things. Lots of, which is weird, minors. I have a lot of minor stuff, which is bizarre. I don't know why, but I had like a phase where like I felt drawn to like minors, things like that. I try not to
mirrors.
Huh?
You have any scrying mirrors in the house?
I have a mirror that is believed to be a portal, which is interesting. That's an interesting object. It was in a house where an axe murder took place, and it was in the mother's bedroom, and she was murdered in front of the mirror. And the mirror has worn to the point where it actually looks like there's a portal forming on it. And I know from the investigation, they put a piece of equipment in it that tracks signatures, like hot and cold signatures, and they kept tracking something coming out of the mirror and then going back in. So that's like the closest thing to it. I don't really have a scrying mirror or anything like that. I know silverback mirrors are good for scrying. You can use any type of silverback mirror as long as you know what you're doing. That portal mirror I have locked. I actually reached out to somebody who has been doing that for a while and figured out how to lock the mirror, because there was a point in time where it was like almost suffocating. You could feel the energy and it felt like it was suffocating me. So I figured out, I locked the mirror. I believe that nothing comes through it right now. I mean, I can, undo the lock on it and allow things to come through if I wanted to, but for now it just needs to stay locked because that's like way too much.
I hear you. My mom said she's fascinated by you. She's always in the show and always supporting, so she's fascinated by what you do.
Thank you.
Now, future plans. Do you plan on just keeping this in your own house, or is there like a museum that you do want to build so that actually people can enjoy
I have
this?
a little story about that. So I'm actually going to show you.
Okay.
This is Linda. So I've been looking to buy a house, and I wanted to buy a house that had like at least like an area where I can kind of put everything and have like my own space to live, but they could have their own space. And I was going to make it like a little thing people could come visit if they wanted to, free, obviously, of charge. I ended up getting an ad for a house, and I kept looking at it. Then my real estate agent starts sending it over, and it used to be a store and a house at the same time. Like the upper half was a house, bottom half it used to be an antique store. So I kept seeing it, and I'm like, all right, you know. And then I started having dreams about walking through the house, and I was like, all right, something's weird, you know. The house was in Flemington, New Jersey, and Linda, who died in 2013 or 14 from brain cancer, was also from Flemington, New Jersey. She had a shop in Flemington called The Mine, and that house was where her shop was.
Wow.
So I truly believe that she was guiding me to that house. And unfortunately, I ended up not purchasing the house. It just didn't feel right for me. When I did go through the walkthrough of it, I did take the crystals, and my real estate agent said that he felt one of the crystals, because she has multiple in the box. He felt one of them vibrating. And it was the weirdest thing, because like I said, I had a dream that I was walking through the house, and I was walking through with some woman, and I didn't even know who she was. And when I looked up Linda, I saw a picture of her and her obituary, and I was like, that's the woman from my dream. And it completely freaked me out. And you know, like I said, I ended up not purchasing the house, but my future goal is I definitely want to purchase a house that has a separate area where I can keep everything, have a lot of room to put new things. But I would like to open something where people could actually come and see and read, because I have cards on everything with descriptions. I have papers that have like everything on it. I would love for people to be able to come and like read through it and experience what I experience every day living with them. So
yeah, I would love for something like that. I mean, that's a dream right there. Well, Kelly, anything else you want to add in here? I definitely want to say, before we end this, you have been one fantastic guest, and very nice in person too. I mean, you were very humble. You were very knowledgeable, just very approachable as well too, and it clearly shows, you know, of just having this discussion with you tonight. So
thank you so much. It was absolute pleasure to talk to you guys and kind of talk a little bit about what I do. I mean, it's a lot.
Well, we're always here for you.
I like the respect, you know, that you're giving everything.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I think respect is a big thing. And unfortunately, I think that a lot of people that do this, they just do it because it's
cool,
an oddity thing, or it's cool. They don't really show respect to the item. I mean, locking them in a warehouse isn't, you know.
Right.
Absolutely.
Isn't fair.
All right. Well, if you want to stick around with us, Bill has some words to say. Unless you have somewhere to go, I do like to talk after the show just for a few moments.
Okay.
So if you want to stick around, Bill, I know you have a pretty huge announcement.
So I have something I've been talking about for years. Finally got the chance to put it together. We launched it last weekend. I'm trying to push it out there now. It's called the Paranormal Research Network. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get teams from across the country and international eventually to kind of come together into this network. We don't control anything you do. It has nothing to do with anything we gain from what you're doing. It's more for us to get people that are like me and my team, and how we investigate and how we are really like there to help people. You know, that you can't charge, you can't do anything like that. I will be honest, I'm very strict with it. There's a lot of requirements. It's not like you fill out a form and say, hey, I have a team and you're going to be on. We're going to check on your references and check what you're about and what you do, because we want to make it to where I have tons of people who contact us for help, all across the country, and we can't do it all. And I don't want to leave these people hanging or pass them on to somebody that I don't trust or I don't know how they work. You know, I don't want somebody to go in and maybe harm them more, you know, especially for the fact that a lot of times it's not paranormal. Some of these people do have other issues, but you need somebody who understands how to help them no matter what it is, and not come in and say, oh, no, we don't see anything paranormal, have fun, and leave them there because, or come in and like you were talking, provoke and do something that could cause more harm. So we're trying to get a lot of teams, you know, combined into this network so everybody could, two things, you could share cases that maybe you can't get to, and you could share ideas. You could contact, it's like I said in one of the things on the page, I say, if you contacted a lawyer because you needed a lawyer for something, would you rather have a lawyer, that one lawyer, or you want one that has access to a network of people that they could call if it's something that maybe they don't understand or maybe they need more advice? They could call somebody who maybe had a little more experience or maybe dealt with this type of you know, a case. I mean, it's all about trying to help people, and you know, I just want to get it out there and start getting people connected. I mean, I have a few people already that I know, but we're really trying to push that out there and just, again, to help people and also further the industry. The more of these teams come together, it's you have a better chance of getting true evidence to help prove it out there. You know, a lot of these teams have all this paradrama and things going on and territories, and you know, it shouldn't be like that in this field. You know, and that's the same thing when I go around to the conventions. That's why we try to teach all the people about all this stuff is how to deal with people. Look, if you want to go out to the local hospital and the abandoned, you know, the cemetery or whatever, it's a totally different thing. Do whatever you want to do there. But when you go into somebody's home, it's a completely different experience, you know. So, you know, I want to push it out there. It's the domain is paranormalresearchnetwork.com. And you could also get in touch with me, and if you have any questions. And
Bill is a BB3 TV member, so you could easily get a hold of him through messaging BB3 TV directly as well. Another thing I wanted to get into real quick too, Kelly, I want to rebook you for a show because we didn't get to talk to you about this, but you do the same thing that the grave guys do. You go and clean graves, children graves, and stuff like that. So I'd love to have you on with Craig and I, and we could talk about how you going in there cleaning graves and why you do it. So that okay. We'll save that one for another night for sure.
All right.
Bill, anything else you would like to add?
No, just well, I will say a quick thing. I mean, I may talk about this another time, but one of the things with this network was it was also talked about. There was somebody else that really wanted to be involved in this, and unfortunately, we lost him the other night. A lot of people know him. His name was Tim Yancey. He's been in this industry for a long, long time. He worked with the Warrens. He was really amazing in how he worked with people and helped people no matter what it was. And that's why he, you know, I've known him for years, but it was recently that he reached out and came onto my team also. He works with some other teams, but came onto my team because he liked how I worked with people. And this was something that he was really interested in too. And it's sad that we lost him the other night. And then, you know, the whole paranormal community that knows him, everybody I knew him, you know, they feel this one.
Love it. Well, on that note, we'll end this one tonight. And thank you guys for everything of what you all do. And Bill, much appreciated for you being the co-host tonight. So absolutely. This tonight, I actually thoroughly enjoyed this tonight, and Amy's there too. Hi, Amy. What's going on? And we'll talk more about the project, Amy, in the back. But as of tonight, guys, thank you for tuning into BB3 TV. As always, like, share, follow, subscribe, and most importantly, enjoy. Everybody have a good night from BB3 TV.
Night.